Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Good morning, angels. Well, it's morning for me. Good day to you. Good moment to you. So let's take a moment and come into the moment and feel the presence of God. Feel the hug of God. Remembering that goodness is all around us and in us. That God is real. Bruno Groening said God is really everywhere and in every living being. Just as I say that and I drop into the present moment, I have this feeling of presence all around me, that I'm surrounded by something very real and something good, something sacred. And for me, that's literally um, half of what life is about being connected to that sacred presence, that goodness. And the other half is just doing good, being connected to that goodness and then sharing it. Welcome, Jisoo. When a long time ago, this might have been, was this last century? This might have been last century. But um, I knew someone who he had a son who was very wise. And the father would sometimes talk to the son about God. And the father was very, a conscious, awake being. And one day the father said something, and the son was like, "Yeah, okay, Dad. And remember, we're in God." This kid was like 4 years old. what a I don't know if that's exactly right, but it's certainly closer to the truth than that God is up and far away, that we're literally surrounded by God. And the thing is we have to feel it. If I just look around my room, I see a wall and a bed and a blanket. But if I look around this room with my heart, with an open heart, and with an intention to connect to the sacred, it's almost like everything is a gift from God, or everything is just a mirror of God. So it's my goal to live in that 24/7. Not quite there yet. But thank you to each one of you who comes to these meetings, because you help me so much, and to dive deeper into that communion, which is, Bruno spoke of communion. The German word Verbindung, which is often translated as to be connected to God. That is everything. It also means union, communion, to be linked and united with God. That is everything. So let's spend a little time taking in some of this good energy. Please sit with your legs uncrossed, feet flat on the floor, hands on your legs, palms facing upwards. Back, not stiff, but not slouched either, just a relaxed, upright position. Now closing your eyes and handing over all burdens, all worries, life situations, any illness. Bruno Groening said, if you busy yourself with the disease, you hold on to it and block the divine power. So let's just give away our burdens and worries and trust them to God and trust them to Bruno. And then think of something that makes you happy. something that makes you really joyful. And then begin to observe the body, having the will, the intention to take in this good energy. Noticing what you feel, wanting the good. Receiving a gift from Bruno Groening. I'll have to paraphrase it. I can't find the exact quote. Bruno said, "Give me your illness, but I won't take something for nothing." This is almost an exact quote. It's from memory. "But I won't take something for nothing. I give you something in return, but it's much lighter. It's health." So receive back. We're receiving back from our dear friend. Having given him something, he wants to give us something. Taking in the good, leaning in, if it feels right, on Bruno Groening and his faith. Bruno Groening said, "I decisively abhor evil, sickness, and firmly believe in all the good in human beings, even for those who will not or cannot yet believe. I therefore see it as my greatest life task to pray for all those who cannot do it, and I will keep doing so until they were able to do it for themselves. If you cannot yet believe, I will do it for you until you can really believe. And if you cannot yet ask, not yet pray today, I will do that for you as well." He said, "Have faith. Everything will be all right. I'll do for you what you no longer can." So receiving back, having given Bruno our problems, receiving back. And sometimes when I'm struggling to have faith, I think I'm just going to rely on the faith of Bruno Groening. His faith is rock solid. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. So, is there anything that the power of God cannot heal. I personally know someone who was relieved of heroin addiction. I personally know someone um, who a cavity healed, a cavity in their teeth. My dear friend Brian, he lives in this town. I know I have a friend named Lisa who had mysterious brain swelling that was giving her bipolar depression, insomnia, anxiety. The doctors had no idea what was causing it or how to treat it. And soon after finding this, it went away. I have a dear friend, Susan, who um, she had it wasn't diagnosed as, welcome, Alan. Ah. Wasn't diagnosed as cancer, but had a black, cancerous looking spot on her nose that healed. These are people I know personally. These are not saints, these are not like wizards. These are ordinary people like you and me who, through this practice and through applying these teachings and through trusting in Bruno Groening, experienced what we as human beings call miracles, what Bruno Groening said were built into the laws of nature. I myself had chronic swelling of the knees heal, um, bipolar, had a diagnosis of bipolar 2, which is a type of bipolar depression, was utterly dependent on 4 medications for the bipolar and the sleep. Completely heal, got off all 4 medications. Chronic sore throats. I used to get sick all the time. That healed. And I know there are some people on this channel who look up to me, and I thank you. I appreciate your appreciation, and I promise, I'm I struggle not every day, but almost every day to live this path and to stay on track. So, is there anything that God cannot do? Is there any burden? Now, it's very important to remember that not every illness is going to heal in this lifetime. Some illnesses, according to Bruno Groening, are here for us to learn. For example, Bruno Groening spoke of, um, a person who's extremely disabled to the point where they can't even speak. He was talking to a family about a family, and he said that it was all part of the design, that the family caring for that person and that person receiving their care was their life lesson, and that the spiritual growth that was possible because of that, he said, was huge. Alfred Haas, the person who wrote Powers of the Spirit, um, Alfred, before he met Bruno Groening, doctors had given him just a couple years to live. He had so many burdens, and most of them were completely healed, and 1 or 2 of them wasn't. And Bruno Groening said, "This is for your learning, that you have this for your life." So it's this middle ground of holding on to the truth that nothing is incurable and nothing is impossible, and also holding on to the truth that God is in charge. God knows what's best. And this is a school. Everything that happens here is for our learning and our awakening. So holding on to the remembrance that nothing is impossible, and holding on to faith that everything will heal, and it just may not heal in the time that we want it. And that we're not in charge. God is. So let's spend a little time. Oh, and thank you, Alan. My wisdom and spirit. I thank you, friend. I don't know what to say. I I have a little bit of each. I have, and I'm happy. It's my joy to share them, and to share it strengthens it in me. So you're welcome, and thank you, and thank each person for receiving it, because it just strengthens it in me. One of my favorite spiritual books or texts says, "You teach what you need to learn." So it's true in my case. I'm teaching this because I need to learn it. So let's spend a little time reflecting on the absolute truth that nothing is impossible for God, nothing is incurable, and the absolute truth that God is in charge, not us, and the timing of a healing is not up to us, and the absolute truth that the good will prevail, and the when and the how is also not up to us. What is up to us? To do the next right thing, to maintain faith, to take in energy one day at a time, to watch our thoughts, to reflect on our thoughts and behaviors, and recognize the ones that aren't good and strive to do better. So let's take in some of this good energy and reflect on some of this. Observing the body, taking in these good feelings. Giving away all burdens, all problems. Hmm. It's, you know, one of the one of the hardest dances in life is surrender. It is for me. I want what I want when I want it, and I want to be in charge. And yet Bruno pointed out that, especially around healing, I've experienced a lot of healings on this path, and so sometimes I'm impatient, and I'm looking for what Bruno said about the timing of a healing. In essence, I'll just go with memory. Uh, he said if a healing doesn't occur because they do not have any spiritual ripeness or maturity of their own, or because they must learn something from it. God alone has the necessary overview and power to ordain a healing at the time when it is most beneficial for the spiritual maturity of the individual concerned. Oh my gosh. To, that to really trust, that's real trust of handing a burden over and then trusting, okay, God, you know the timing better than I do when it's best for this healing to happen. Not an easy. I struggle. I would say every day, at least every day, to because it's one thing to affirm that there is a God, and it's another thing to affirm nothing is impossible. And then it's another level to say, and thy will, not mine, be done. Not so easy. And yet, hope everyone here can understand why it's so important. Because Bruno Groening said the state of the world is steered by God. Bruno said the state of the world is steered by God. Only things that serve as a lesson are allowed to happen. If we can take that to heart, then we can see everything that's going on as part of the school of life that Bruno spoke of. That all of this is happening for our effort, for ours personally, and everyone's spiritual growth. That doesn't mean that we like it or even that it's God's first choice, but to really trust that all of this is in service to our individual and as a race, our awakening. To me, that's really absolute faith. So let's spend a little time reflecting on this. That all things are a lesson, especially the things we don't like. Now, that doesn't mean, and we just need to be mindful, that doesn't mean we stay in an unhealthy relationship because, oh, it's a lesson. Like that's, to me, is what I call ungrounded spirituality. The lesson in that would be to discern when something is not good and go. But to say something shouldn't be happening is to deny the hand of God is active in something. Observing the body. As soon as we have a negative thought, handing it over to Bruno Groening and asking for a good thought. taking in the good, letting it heal us. So we looked at the idea of surrender. We looked at the idea that God's in charge, and that the hand of God is active even in things we don't like. And we looked at that Bruno Groening doesn't just ask us to give our burdens to him, he also asks us to receive something back. When Bruno taught about thoughts, he said, give the thoughts over to God and ask for a good thought. So it's like we give away the junk and ask for something good to take its place and receive something back. And I put forth the idea that there's different levels of faith. There's just faith in the existence of God, and then faith in the omnipotence that all things are um, nothing, that God can cure anything and do everything. And then there's this other that for me is my growing edge right now, that the hand of God is active in everything that happens in life happens as a lesson, happens for our spiritual learning. So I'd like to thank everyone who came, and a warm welcome to Alan. I think this is the first time at least you've said hello here on the YouTube channel. Great to see and feel you, friend. So let's take a minute or two in silence to close. I don't have the exact quote, but Greta Hausler said that, in essence, Bruno taught that the spiritual opportunity that's available on this earth is off the charts. Bruno said that trillions of souls were lined up waiting. And Bruno himself said that there's an opportunity to free ourselves from so much evil here. So I'm not going to deny that this earth school, this school of life, sometimes is hard, sometimes excruciatingly painful. But let's also not deny the spiritual opportunity. If I can find it, I'll leave us with some closing words. One woman said to Bruno Groening, "Oh, Mr. Groening, I can't wait until I've left this body, and I'm in heaven, and things will be so much easier." Bruno responded. Groening replied to her with great seriousness, "Indeed, and before your birth you wailed the most and begged for another incarnation. God placed so much grace in the cradle with you that it would be sacrilege to be discontent. Your being here offers you the possibility of learning a great deal and of letting go of still more. Use the time that God has given you and make the effort to make the most of it. That is to live always in the good. According to Freddie Hosp, then, this lady followed Bruno Groening's advice for positive thinking as far as possible. Despite severe trials with her family, it was only more than 30 years later that she was able to go home after a fulfilled life. That sounds like an attitude that could just change our world. That we're here, us being here is an act of grace, and we're here to learn. And we have an opportunity to let go of so much evil. And that it's not always going to be easy. The life of Jesus, the life of Bruno points that out. Not that our lives have to be as challenging as theirs, but that part of the Earth School is contending with evil and facing it and still maintaining faith. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. I wish you a beautiful, beautiful day of facing the trials of the school of life and enjoying also. It doesn't all have to be hard, but here on this earth, it's probably all not going to be easy and comfortable. Thank you so much.